Good evening. Good evening. This is Coach Paula. Welcome to the Rhythm Room. Today is November the 16th, 2025. And this is the space where we slow down, we breathe, and return to the sound of our soul. Um, this space kind of honors my mother's legacy. I write a blog, PH Balance, on my website, paulahollis.com. That blog comes out the first of the month. It is ultimately rooted in the fruit of the Spirit, the 9 virtues of the fruit of the Spirit. And on the 16th of the month, I go live at 8:09 p.m. Eastern Standard Time because this space honors my mother's legacy. It honors her gentleness, her wisdom, her fruit. And it is a reminder that life moves better when our hearts move in rhythm. Why the combination of 116 and 8:09? Well, 116 is my birthday, January the 16th, and 8:09 in military time represents 2009. And so 116, 2009, or 2009, was my 39th birthday, and that is the day my mom transitioned to heaven. And so, as a wink and an honor to her, that is when I published the first of the month, and I go live on the 16th at 8:09 p.m. So, welcome to this hallowed sacred space where tonight we're simply being simple and being soft and being honest. And so, if you haven't read this month's blog, I can just kind of give you a high level that it focused on faithfulness. And you can, like I said, read it on my website, paulahollis.com. And so tonight I want to talk about faithfulness. I won't be with you long, but I do want to just share about faithfulness. And I don't even want to look at faithfulness as far as not the kind that we offer to others, because I think we're pretty good generally in being faithful to others. But I want to talk about being faithful to ourselves and what that looks like. And so sometimes the most sacred worship that we can offer is showing up with our own intentions, with honesty, compassion, and grace. And so let's talk about what that looks like briefly. I have 3 points that I want to share. And so I'll step through those and then we'll go through this tool that I have on the screen as well. So, the first point I want to make is that faithfulness is not performance, it's alignment. Faithfulness is not performance, it's alignment. So we keep promises to the world a whole lot easier than we keep promises to ourselves. We will break promises to ourselves, but we often won't break promises to others. But keeping promises to yourself, that's actually a form of worship because it honors the God in you. You know, you're honoring the God in someone else when you keep your word to them, but what about honoring the God that's inside of you as well? Shouldn't the Bible says to love your neighbor as you love yourself. So that means you first got to love yourself. That means you first got to honor yourself too before you can really effectively honor someone else. So remember, faithfulness is not about performance, it's about alignment. Keep promises to yourself as well and as best as you keep promises to others. My second point tonight is that your body, your mind, and your spirit, they all kind of eventually catch up to what your soul has already declared. Now, I've lived this here recently. I just finished, it's called 40-Day uh, Turn Up with Dr. Joe from Atlanta. I'm just working on my health and wellness, right? So it was 40 days of clean eating and a really dedicated um, regimen. And if I'm honest, I wasn't 100% compliant with the things that we were doing. Sometimes, I kind of fell off a little bit. But I was committed to finish strong. And even though I was struggling towards the end, I declared over my body that it was going to do some things, right? And I declared those things as already done. And I said, I'm not going to worry about it. I'm not going to guilt myself about certain things that I've done or that I shouldn't have done or anything like that. I have to remain committed to where I am in this process at this moment. I can't, you know, what they say, cry over spilled milk. I can't, I have to give myself grace and space. I can't beat myself up for what I didn't do, but I'm fully accountable for what I'm doing in this present moment. And so I completely, took that mindset and I focused on some things. And I'm like, I'm not going to, be on a scale every day, checking. I'm just going to see how this works out and I'm going to believe for the best. And I declared what my expectation was. And sure enough, we exceeded the expectation. It was like, woo, my body like heard me, my mind was set, and it all worked out. And so as we're gearing up for the Thanksgiving holiday and the Christmas holiday, I don't want to um, undo the hard work that I've put in. So I want to continue in that same vein. Am I going to enjoy myself and have some of that mac and cheese? You better believe I am. But I'm going to cut back on something else, right? Or I'm going to not have as much. But I want to be faithful to myself. I said I want to achieve a certain goal, by a certain date. I want to honor that because honoring myself is important. That faithfulness to myself is important. And so the third point that I want to make is this align filter that you see on the screen. This is how you come back to yourself. You have to be in alignment. And so I want to talk about alignment, and I want to talk about um, how we align ourselves and how we utilize this tool. So if you've been feeling scattered in any way, or perhaps if you have been busy but not really aligned, we just talked about that in titration talks on Friday. I have this tool, and it's the Align Filter tool. It's already really started changing my thinking, and I hope it can change your thinking as well. So let me kind of walk you through this. So this tool, as you see on the screen, before you rush into the next thing, before you say yes automatically, you have to run what you're doing through this Align Filter tool. So don't just simply say yes out of habit or out of fear or guilt or anything like that, but run your life, run your decisions through this very simple check-in. And so it helps me since I first created it, and I've been utilizing it. It really helps me to stay faithful to myself, not just faithful to other people's expectations. Because I've often said, I want to live my life from the inside out. I don't want to live from outward obligation, but more from my inward intentions and intuition. I'll say that again. I don't want to live from outward obligations, but from my inward intention and my inward intuition. And so this alignment filter tool helps me to do that. So let me step you through it. Coach Paula likes acronyms, so y'all gonna get some acronyms. And so we have first A for in the line, and that is AIM. One of the crux of my coaching business is constantly asking yourself these AIM questions. A is awareness, I is intention, and M is momentum. That is how we stay in AIM and we stay in focus. You become aware of something, and then once you become aware of something, you have to set an intention. That's the I portion. That intention can be, I'm not going to do anything. Word to the wise. Doing nothing is doing something. So you can choose, I'm going to do nothing or I'm going to do something. But you're doing something one way or the other. And so that's your intention. Then once you set that intention, you then build and maintain momentum around it. I said not going to drink my calories, and I'm not going to just have soda, or the only soda I'm going to have is diet soda. Then I become aware, I set my intention, and then I build my momentum. When it's time to order, I got to remind myself, you're going to either say Diet Coke or you're going to drink water, whatever that looks like, right? And so as you walk through that, you have your awareness, your intention, momentum. As you have that momentum, you learn some things along the way. So you become aware again. Then you become set an intention. Then you gain momentum. So it's ongoing. And so this tool, the first question is, does it serve my current aim right now? Where am I in aim? What am I working on? And is this opportunity, is this question that's being asked of me, or this commitment that's being asked of me, does it align? Where does it fit? Does it serve well and complement my current aim? The L is load. And this load portion talks about capacity. Do I really have the capacity, the time, the energy, and the money, the resources? Do I really have that to do this now? Like do I really have the capacity to do this? The energy, time, and the space. Like I sometimes we do, sometimes we don't. So that's pretty straightforward. Do I have the bandwidth? Then we have I, intention itself. And I think this deserves its own call out. Yes, intention is part of AIM overall, but this is so significant because this month our focus is in evaluating our intention that we need to call it out specifically. So ask yourself, is my motive um, is my motive pure in why I'm doing this? Am I doing it because of purpose, or am I doing it because of pressure? Only you can answer that. So you have to be honest about it and answer for yourself. What's the source of my intention? Where is it coming from? Am I being pressured by others? Am I even being pressured by myself? Because it's like, oh, I can sometimes guilt myself into doing things. That's not good either. So you got to really assess that. And then the G is gain. What specific outcome will this create now? Does it move me forward, or does it drain me? Like what's going to be the benefit or the outcome or the value add? Because at the end of the day, we always want to be adding value in what we're doing. I often say my life mantra is that I am a person of value who values others and adds value to them. And so this game assessment is to look at, what is the value add in me taking on this additional role or taking on this additional responsibility or commitment. And then lastly is next. Is my next tiny step clear, or am I forcing something and I don't have the clarity for it? Is it clear? Like if I step into this world, is it clear exactly what I'm supposed to do and how I'm supposed to do it? That's part of the assessment that you need to make, because if you sign on to do something and you're not clear, or it requires more of you than what you realized, that's not a good thing. So go through your alignment filter, your aim, your load, your intention, the gain, and next. And then look at your responses. You get a green light, a yellow light, or a red light based on how many um, answers you have through your alignment tool. Now, remember, sometimes, the holiest thing that you can do is to simply say no. Those two letters, powerful word, one syllable word, but it is significant because sometimes the most sacred worship that you can offer is faithfulness to yourself. Because remember, when you're saying yes to everything else, you're also saying no to yourself. And so often we can say no to ourselves really well because we're running around and doing everything else for everyone else but ourselves. But think about it, oxygen mask, you got to put yours on first so that you can then help someone else. We're getting our rhythm back on tonight. And so let me just speak this blessing over you as we close out on tonight, and hear my heart and hear my voice when I say this. May you be gentle with yourself. May you honor your own yes. May you release the pressure to prove anything. And may your faithfulness to God, to your purpose, and even to yourself become your quiet act of worship on this week. Walk slowly, walk honestly, and walk aligned to your purpose and the plan that God has for you. Coach Paula loves you. I truly do. And I really hope to see you next month in the Rhythm Room. Have a great night.